Joe, some very sad news has struck us today as the godfather, literally, of every college football fan has been fired. Mack Brown is out at North Carolina. Your thoughts?
I understand that there's possibly some contract implications of why he'd rather be fired to get his buyout, all that stuff. Don't want to waste too much attention there because I don't know what his contract situation is. I think he's getting $2.8 million to be let go. It sucks that this is how it's going out. I think that they tried to approach him to ask him to step down and to retire, and he was being stubborn. He didn't want to let go. He wanted to get the opportunity to finish strong. Sadly, he's not afforded that. It sucks that his career is ending this way and it's not going out on his terms. One would have hoped that would have happened for a coaching legend. He's a great coach. He has done amazing things for the game. He has been talked about as being a great individual. But to talk about the angle of this from the North Carolina side, this is a very underrated job, especially with the ACC situation and the future of where North Carolina fits, because we've talked about they could possibly be the most highly sought after team in a next round of realignment if that ever occurs. And if it doesn't, it is a team in an era of revenue sharing for college athletics that could be successful. Them being just a hair over 500 is not where this team could be, and they should expect to get up to one of the top teams in the ACC to get up to that level. I think a couple interesting names to throw out there. 3 that I would be very aggressive in pursuing. I would go after Dan Mullen. I would go after Barry Odom, who's at UNLV. And I would go after John Summerall, who has done some tremendous things at Tulane.
I mean, he's only been at Tulane for 1 year. So, I mean, I like.
Well, he was really good at he was really good at Troy too. But yeah, that one might be a little too soon.
It might not be. Yeah, I mean, it might not be. God, I don't want to come off as a D-bag here, but Joe, it was time. It was time. I mean, he blamed a lot on Phil Longo. Okay, you had I don't want to say a transcendent quarterback in Drake May, but a really good quarterback, and you couldn't figure things out in a down ACC. You couldn't figure things out defensively. I felt like he was stubborn in his own ways, and ultimately that got him beat. Now, here's the thing, though. He did recruit moderately well, and I do agree with you that North Carolina is an underrated job. They have athletes in the state of North Carolina in that area where you can go and make something happen. The problem is when you fire a Mack Brown, you got to be serious at going after it football-wise. That's where all your money and revenue is going to come from. I know you're a massive basketball school, and you always will be. Basketball's not cashing checks. Football is. And that's just the reality of it. I don't want to say that I think that Mack shouldn't have been fired. Okay? I don't want to go there. But I also don't think that they've given him every tool in the tool belt to be able to do what he ultimately needed to do too. Now that you're going after a coach, I got to be real with you. I'm not going after Dan Mullen. I'm not going after Barry Odom. I know what they can do in group and P4 situations. I've seen him do it. Now, Dan would be an excellent coach. Mm-hmm. Dan got fired because he didn't recruit. And if you want to go down the same exact path of a Mack Brown who doesn't have the energy, Dan doesn't want to recruit. Okay? How does Dan want to attack NIL? Can he go in a living room in North Carolina with a massive booster and say, hey, brother, I need $20 million. I need you to help give me $20 million for a roster. Can he do that with $10 million? I don't know. I know a guy that who is willing to take those risks can do it. So I see the same names being recycled here. And I love John Summerall. And maybe John can be somebody that could turn that place around to what they can be. I'm calling 1-800-CALL Kenny Dillingham. That's what I'm doing.
My only problem with that is
I
Kenny
love
Dillingham's an
Dillingham.
alum. I know he's a great coach, but he's an alum of Arizona State. I would think that if he
He ain't
does,
going nowhere.
yeah, like if he's leaving, it's got to be for a premier Big Ten or SEC job. I feel like it's not lateral. UNC's a better job for him, but to
See his
unseat him,
interest level.
I'd pick up the phone. I don't know if he's gonna take it though. Here's another one: Will Stein at Oregon. He's been somebody who's talked that no, you don't want to go young, up and comer.
Well, I want to. There's a lot of young coaches that are head coaches that are proven. You're in a different age right now, and here's the only thing about going to with an experienced head coach though that I'd push back. We're in a different time and era. Revenue sharing is going to start during the summer, and a first-time head coach may have issues with that.
Can I pitch? I got one more coordinator I just thought of. What about Glenn Schumann? There's been some murmurs that like, hey, when does Glenn Schumann leave Georgia?
That's not the job that he goes and he does.
Well, okay, but wait, but let me throw this your way though. That like when Dan Lanning,
he wanted the Bama job and didn't get an interview.
He wasn't going to get the Bama job. If there was going to be, sorry, what I meant to say is that when Dan Lanning took the Oregon job, it was against the grain, I think, what a lot of people expected, and we're seeing the results. You're getting somebody that's from the Kirby tree, and a lot of these Kirby coaches have been really good when they've had opportunities as coordinators.
North Carolina going to give I don't think it. Look, North Carolina would be lucky to get him. Why would he go there?
He gets to be a head coach
for a program that doesn't want to give money into NIL football-wise?
It all depends on what that pitch meeting's like. I mean, maybe there's you're right. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty in the direction that North Carolina is trying to play. I would argue getting rid of Mack Brown and not giving him one more year to just go out into the sunset shows an immediacy from them that they want to win and that they want to play at a high level. And maybe there is more of a financial commitment once revenue sharing becomes a thing. But Glenn Schumann's been discussed, and I think that he doesn't need to rush out anywhere because he hasn't been a defensive coordinator for like a crazy long amount of time like Dan Lanning was, but he's a young coach. It does not seem like that there's going to be any SEC openings this cycle or for a while. This is the best opening. So if I'm Glenn Schumann and I want to be a head coach, it's a great starting point. You're still in the South.
I'm doing it if I'm Glenn Schumann. I'm just not doing it.
I tried to pitch it.
I got one more for you. You ready?
Okay. All right.
Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman's not leaving Notre Dame for North Carolina. You're just messing with me. Stop it. Don't do this.
Would you rather live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, or
he's a Midwest guy? He's not.
But don't y'all have 2 street lights and an Applebee's?
Okay, come on. He's not leaving Notre Dame. If he left Notre Dame, it would be for a Notre Dame job or it would be for Ohio State. That would be
just a horrible place to live.
Okay, now you're just being mean.
Y'all, bro.
He's not leaving Notre Dame.
I went to Indiana one time, and I walked off in this restaurant.
Did you go to Gary, Indiana? Is that where you
go to Gary, Indiana? I walk off in this restaurant one time. Okay, Indianapolis is actually where I went.
Okay.
And
Indianapolis is great.
Well, I mean, I walk off in a restaurant, and they were like, I was like, "Ma'am, can you? I wanted some pasta, and." She comes back and I'm like, what is this? Bro, they thought salt and pepper was seasoning.
Okay, that's fair. The food's not great in Indiana. I can't defend that because there's really not a lot of great food options in South Bend, but that does not keep Marcus Freeman. There's also a lot of great steakhouses in Indianapolis, so put a little respect on
if you mess up a steak, then there's no way to mess up steak.
All I'm saying is Marcus Freeman ain't leaving for the.
I would call Marcus Freeman.
He's not leaving for the. You just talked about how there's not a financial commitment that you think that North Carolina could be putting in it. He's not leaving.
Notre Dame's giving him a financial commitment in NIL?
Way more than North Carolina would. It's easier to win at Notre Dame than it is at North Carolina.
Yeah, I know it is. Look at that schedule.
You just brought this up to terrorize me. Why are you doing this?
I got one for you. Here's an off the wall one. You
Okay.
ready?
I'd call Al Golden though. In all seriousness, I think Al Golden's somebody who's going to be.
I wouldn't mind that one.
Maybe available this cycle.
Here's my real one. If I'm North Carolina, I'm calling Kirby Moore, the OC at Mizzou.
I don't mind that one either. The other one that's been thrown out there, but this is like a total long shot. Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator for the Lions, is a North Carolina alum, but he's going to get an NFL job. That one's not happening.
Stupid for him to leave the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I mean, at that rate, let's go hire Dan Campbell.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.